Good morning. I think it's appropriate that Linda Oakes, the head of our health department, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this morning.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the August 10th, 2017 meeting of the Shawnee County Board of Commissioners. My name is Bob Archer. I currently serve as chair of the commission and represent District 3, alongside Commissioner Shelley Bueller, who represents District 1, and Commissioner Kevin Cook, who represents District 2. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
First item, please.
First item is under unfinished business. Number 1, consider approval of Home Rule Resolution number 2017-2, prohibiting sales or furnishing of tobacco products to persons under the age of 21. Second reading.
Before we listen to the county councilor, if there's not an objection, I'd like to pull items E3 and F1 from the agenda. Okay, let us proceed then if there's not an objection. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jim Kraus, Shawnee County Councilor. Approximately 1 month ago, the chair directed my office to put together a draft home rule resolution. This is the second reading of that draft resolution. We took a look at other jurisdictions and counties, other municipalities who had passed a similar type of resolution, and our resolution is based upon that. The idea was to set forth a policy goal which was aimed at a specific demographic, those under the age of 21, not to create a new elaborate bureaucracy, but to put a regulation in place to hopefully discourage that. That's what we've done. It prohibits sales in the unincorporated areas of Shawnee County. And I'd be happy to answer any other questions you might have about it. But today is the second reading.
Okay, very good. Questions for the county councilor, commissioners? Yes, Commissioner Bueller.
Jim, it's consistent with other municipalities in that it deals with possession as well. Most of the other communities did not include possession as part of the ordinance.
I believe this just prohibits sale. I don't think this, right.
Okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
I would now, if there is anyone that wants to make a public comment about the home rule resolution, you're more than welcome to. If you come up to the podium, state your name and make your comments. You said you wouldn't be here this week, Tom. Good morning.
Mr. Chairman, I came in late last night just for this meeting.
Good morning.
But, thank you. My name is Tom Pallas. I'm here as a county resident, as well as, full disclosure, I'm also the executive director of the Petroleum Marketers and Convenience Store Association, and I want to voice my opinion again that we do oppose this resolution for a number of reasons. One, I guess we need to determine what an adult is. Is an adult 18 years old? But federal law says 18. An 18-year-old, they can serve in the military, they can kill and die for our country, enter into and be bound by contracts, get married, purchase a gun, refuse medical treatment, play the lottery, be tried as an adult in criminal actions, and ironically be elected to the county commissioner as a county commissioner and also vote for the President of the United States. So my guess is surely they can determine whether or not they can buy an e-cig or a tobacco product. Also, this resolution conflicts with federal laws, which we discussed, and I apologize, I do have some handouts for you to follow along. We know that this is different than federal law. We discussed it the last time. We think this might be somewhat counterproductive, since e-cigarettes are often used to wean tobacco users off tobacco products. And that's the ultimate goal of quitting tobacco use. We think it'll be ineffective since the sales of tobacco e-cigs will not decrease, but will simply shift to outside the county. In other words, we're moving the border from county to county, city to city, wherever we do it in the state of Kansas. There was a discussion at the last meeting, August 3rd, that This would not impact convenience stores. Now I'm putting my convenience store hat on. And in the state legislature, I put together a graph, and it's attached to your packet. And this was done by Altria, which is a tobacco company, and it shows what happens when you increase the price of tobacco. And bottom line, there is a bleed. It bleeds to other borders, other counties, other cities. And in here it shows the red, which would be the Kansas counties, and the green is the Missouri counties. And the green means they're making money, and the red means they're not. And on this indication, at least this chart, it shows that retailers have lost anywhere from 12 to 25% of sales, and they've not come back. So my point is when the comment was made that tobacco retailers will not be hurt by this, they will be. Now, granted, in the county environment, it's a much smaller picture. But I wanted to give you the big picture when we start dealing with whether it's tobacco prices or what have you. And my point is that people, they may stop buying it, but they're in this area, but they just change their buying habits. They buy it somewhere else. They can buy tobacco online today and not pay a nickel of tax if they wanted to. But they do have to be 18 years old. So if you use your credit card, which at 18 years old you can have a credit card, you can actually order tobacco over the internet. The other thing dealt with possession, and Commissioner Bueller brought that up earlier, that state law requires you'd be 18 years of age, and in state law, it says that if you attempt to purchase or have it in your possession, you could actually be fined by a policeman. So my question is, do we want the police actually out there enforcing this resolution on behalf of the retailers? Again, my retailer hat, because we've had many instances where you have an older adult purchase the tobacco products at some rural areas, and they'll give them to the kids. And we had one instance where a store owner actually blocked the kid in, the adult, blocked him in, and said, call the police, they're coming in to do something. Well, of course, the policeman says, come on, Jim, let's get on down the road. So it's not uniform. We want consistent. The bottom line is if we really want to do this, we need a uniform, consistent rule throughout the state of Kansas. We don't need to move the border each and every time in each and every county that makes up their mind they want to do this. So therefore, my comment, two comments. One is approach the Kansas legislature to do it, to change the age from 18 to 21, so it'd be uniform throughout the state, not just cherry-picked wherever we can go. And two, I haven't seen any data that shows that moving this age from 18 to 21 is effective. Or I haven't seen any data. And my reason why I say that is because tobacco sales continue to decline at 2 to 3% per month, and you can look at the state revenues from the state of Kansas that shows that the decline in excise tax to the state of Kansas, and it's continually dropping. The only time they make a big hit is when they raise it a buck or buck and a half. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I don't have any other comments. I did the last time I was here, and I do appreciate the time, and I'm a little more better prepared this time.
Okay, thank you for your discussion, Tom. Sir?
Good morning, Chairman Archer,
Good morning.
Commissioner Bueller, Commissioner Cook. My name is Bob Alderson. I'm a lawyer in Topeka, the firm Alderson, Weiler, Conklin, Burkhardt, and Crow. I still remember it. Before I get too far into this, Mr. Pallas, my good friend, has pointed out a terrible error on my testimony. It isn't July 10 anymore. I'd like to blame that on my secretary, but unfortunately I proofed this, so I take all the blame. I am appearing here in opposition to H.R. 2, and I'm representing one of my clients, Casey's General Stores. Casey's has nearly 2,000 stores in 14 states. 154 of those are in Kansas, and 5 of the Kansas stores are in Shawnee County. 3 in Topeka, 1 in Silver Lake, and 1 in Rossville. Initially, I want to applaud the purpose of the resolution. I think I'm not a smoker and I don't like smoking, so I approve of that goal. However, I must respectfully oppose the adoption of this resolution. Also, I want to, notwithstanding his criticism of my testimony, I want to endorse Tom Pallas's comments. Casey's is a member of his association. Rather than reiterate Mr. Pallas's comments, I want to take a different approach. And to be very blunt, I want to say that this commission does not have authority to adopt this resolution. As you know, counties derive their home rule powers from a statute, 19-101A. And that statute provides in subsection A that a Board of County Commissioners may transact all county business and perform all powers of local legislation and administration it deems appropriate, subject only to 38 restrictions or prohibitions that are set forth in that subsection. The first restriction enumerated is counties shall be subject to all acts of the legislature which apply uniformly to all counties. KSA 2016 SUP 3321 subsection L makes it unlawful to sell, furnish, or distribute cigarettes, electronic cigarettes, or tobacco products to any person under 18 years of age. That statute is uniformly applicable to all counties, and in my opinion, the Shawnee County Commission cannot enact H.R. 2 or any other resolution that conflicts with that statute. It cannot be justified that it is more restrictive than the state law and therefore is not in conflict with the state statute. The fact remains that H.R. 2 makes unlawful which is lawful under state law. A resolution is deemed to be in conflict with state law if it makes lawful what is unlawful under state law, or makes unlawful or prohibits that which is authorized. The proposed resolution would make it unlawful to sell cigarettes, electronic cigarettes, tobacco products to anyone under 21 years of age, whereas it is lawful under the uniformly applicable state law to make such sales to any person over 18 years of age. I've cited a couple of cases. The case of Blevins v. Hebert, there the court noted that normally a city, and they note the similarity between cities and counties in determining the validity of ordinances or resolution. The city normally has the power to legislate by ordinary ordinance in the exercise of its police power unless a state statute specifically preempts the field or the ordinance conflicts with state law. Here, in the case of David versus Norton County, the court reiterated the standard for determining whether a conflict exists between a county enactment and a state statute. They said that such determination requires an analysis of whether the county resolution prohibits what the state law permits or permits what the state law prohibits. And as I've noted, H.R. 2 prohibits what the state law permits. Therefore, H.R. 2 is in conflict with the uniformly applicable state statute, and this commission, unfortunately, is without authority to enact it. My opinion, of course, is an opinion of one attorney, and I'm sure you can find other attorneys that may want to disagree. Your county counselor may want to disagree. I would suggest, however, that before you enact this, that you might consider requesting the Attorney General for an opinion. I have found that his opinions on this issue are pretty consistent with what the courts are saying. So And again, that's just another attorney's opinion, but I think it would be well to do that before enacting this and perhaps inviting litigation. I'd note further on the issue of this resolution's validity that H.R. 2 purports to be in concert with KSA 2016 Sup 21-6114, which the drafter of the resolution notes, quote, allows counties and cities to regulate smoking by adopting more stringent regulations than found in state law. I disagree that 21-6114 can serve as the basis for enacting this resolution. That statute is a section of the Act which makes it unlawful, with certain exceptions, to smoke in an enclosed area or at a public meeting, and it enumerates various places where such prohibition applies. However, that act does not relate to the lawful age to purchase cigarettes or tobacco products. Thus, it cannot be relied upon to make an end run around the uniformly applicable statute setting the lawful age for purchasing cigarettes at 18. In my judgment, it cannot be argued that a resolution raising to 21 the age to purchase cigarettes is a regulation that is, quote, at least as stringent as that imposed by an act prohibiting smoking in public places, particularly when such resolution flies in the face of a uniformly applicable law setting the age at 18. I submit that the ban on smoking in public places has absolutely nothing to do with the lawful age at which a person can purchase cigarettes and tobacco products. And there is good reason why it doesn't. That subject is already covered by 793321L, a law uniformly applicable to all counties. Thank you for the opportunity to make this presentation. I'll be happy to stand for questions.
Questions? Thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments. Is there anyone else? Good morning. Good morning. Good, thank you.
Good morning. My name is Erin Gabert, and I'm the Senior Community Health Director with the American Heart Association. So as you can imagine, I'm here in support today. As you may know, heart disease is the #1 killer of all Americans, and there is really no doubt that tobacco is one of the largest but most preventable causes of heart disease. I'm not going to get into the weeds today of why smoking's bad for you. Everybody knows that smoking's bad for you, and I think everybody knows that it leads to heart disease and lung cancer and so many other preventable diseases. Instead, I'm really going to focus on the arguments that you've heard today and that you've probably been hearing during the course of all this. A big one that we heard earlier with our first speaker was talking about the legal age to do other activities, the other things that 18-year-olds can do, whether it's voting or joining the military or purchasing a home. All of those things are things that contribute to society and contribute to their life and have positive outcomes and have good to them. It's really not a fair comparison at all to compare those things to tobacco use. A much more understandable and comparable thing would be the age to drink alcohol, to consume alcohol, or the age to gamble. Both of those things are highly addictive activities, highly addictive substance that match much more with the outcomes of tobacco use. So I think that when you're thinking about the things that 18-year-olds can and can't do, I think that's a much more fair comparison to guide your decision today. I also wanted to mention that, in fact, our first speaker talked about the outcomes for and the potential outcomes for retailers that sell tobacco products. And in the American Heart Association's research and the statistics we've seen is that people really don't go across the border. I, for example, live right on the Missouri-Kansas border. Gas is much more expensive than Kansas than it is Missouri. But if I'm in Kansas and I'm 5 minutes from a gas station in Missouri, I'm not going to bother going all the way back over to Missouri just to get my gas. I'm going to spend that little bit more. So the idea that somebody would flock just to be able to get something that they can't get somewhere, or I think you get my point. But and he also mentioned that online sales are an option for people who are purchasing tobacco. Yet I would feel that if sales, would be impacted, then online sales would in theory be impacting convenience stores as well, or those tobacco retailers. Yet he didn't seem to mention that. So I have a hard time believing that our youth, who are predominantly internet users, would not be choosing that over a gas station. So I think that's kind of a interesting thing that he brought up. So I would like to quickly go back to an earlier statement that 90% of those who smoke had their first cigarette by their 18th birthday. That's before their 18th birthday. So before they were even legally allowed to purchase, they smoked their first cigarette. And this is a result of what we call a social chain that's really prevalent in high schools. 14 to 17-year-olds are very likely to have friends who are 18. The majority of high school students turn 18 before the end of their senior year. So it's very understandable and very common that they would be friends with those who are younger than them. On the flip side, it's not quite as common for 21-year-olds to have friends who are 14 to 17 years old. And that's really the age group that we're talking about here. It's about getting into the hands of those younger people, the 90% that I just mentioned that has their first cigarette before they're even 18. That's when we get nervous, and that's when they really start forming that habit and those addictive behaviors. So the thing is, raising the legal age to purchase tobacco from 18 to 21 immediately ends that social chain. It immediately cuts off that opportunity and really breaks that social chain that's putting tobacco in the hands of our children. So I just want to encourage you all today to do the right thing for the youth of Shawnee County, and join the very large amount of Kansas counties as well as Kansas cities that are adapting these resolutions and these ordinances. Does anybody have any questions?
Questions for Aaron this morning? Thank you so much for coming. Anyone else for discussion items?
Good morning, Commissioners. Linda Oakes from the Health Department. So we've heard a lot of good information, and I'm not going to reiterate it. I do want to make a couple comments. Last week you heard Dr. Bazzino say that tobacco is a public health emergency, and this is the right thing to do. And I also want to comment about, Mr. Pallas said something about studies, that studies can show anything. Well, I'm here today to tell you that I believe in science, and there is a lot of science behind the studies that have been done about Tobacco 21. And the information in the literature is peer-reviewed from organizations such as the American Public Health Association, the Department of Defense, the Institute of Medicine, the CDC, and the Department of Health and Human Services. When they did this work in Kansas City, they had 165 endorsements. And some of the national endorsements include the American Heart Association, as you heard, the American Lung Association, the American Medical Association, the Institute of Medicine. There's a lot of support for this. So locally, how can we help? So the Health Department can help by we can have trainings and to help the retailers with this ordinance. We also have grant money that we can help with signage. This is the Garden City sign. The ordinance is different than it is here, but we can help with that. So we're here to offer any help we can with this effort locally. And we are going to be talking to the city about this also and other incorporated cities in the county. So I would also be happy to stand for any questions.
Questions for Linda?
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Anyone else for discussion this morning? Commissioner Bueller, your thoughts?
I'm going to move to adopt the resolution. I'm a public health advocate, and I do support this.
Very good. Thank you. Commissioner Cook, your thoughts?
I am not going to vote for it, but not that I don't support the reduction and elimination of tobacco use under the age of 18. But I think it is a worthwhile endeavor to stop the smoking of underage, under the age of 18, but I will not be supportive of this resolution.
And I respect that position. I brought this up because of our county health rankings. we keep falling. And we're close to the bottom third now. And if we don't take action, we're just not doing our jobs, in my opinion. This is something we can do. It's sending a message out that we care about the health of our citizens, and so I strongly support it. Yes.
I might just add, I think through the work of Heartland Healthy Neighborhoods, with the Health Department, and with our Board of Health meetings, had we not had those opportunities to have interaction and have more education about our health as a county, I don't think this would have happened, or maybe it would have been a while, but I do appreciate the fact that you had this drafted, but I do also appreciate all our initiatives going on in regards to community health, and I think we have a long way to go.
Absolutely, and thank you, Commissioner Bueller. Motion made to approve by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye, opposed say no.
No.
Motion carries 2-1 with Commissioner Cook dissenting. Next item, please.
Thank you all for being here this
Yes,
morning.
absolutely.
I do appreciate it.
Item 3, consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made to approve the consent agenda by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item 4, new business, A, County Clerk number 1, consider all voucher payments.
Commissioners, this morning, this morning we have vouchers that total $1,425,369.27. The majority of the vouchers fall into 4 categories. We have the holding accounts with the state of Kansas motor vehicle of $636,685.03. Health insurance premiums of $256,739.99. We have withholdings from employees' wages of $73,909.15. And then our Parks and Recreation at $66,357.73. The remainder of the vouchers is really spread amongst a lot of other different departments, but these are the highlights. I do not have any questions. Any questions I've had have been answered, and I would move for their adoption.
I'll second.
Motion made to approve the vouchers by Commissioner Cook and seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item A2, consider correction orders.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made to approve the correction orders by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye, opposed say no, and that motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item B, Bond Council number 1, consider approval of resolution number 2017-47 expressing the intent of the board to issue Shawnee County, Kansas taxable health facilities revenue bonds and enter into a base lease and lease purchase agreement with Topeka Health System LLC or its assigns together with all things necessary and incidental thereto, all pursuant to KSA 12-1740 as amended and supplemented.
Good morning, Bob Perry, Bond Counsel. This resolution would authorize the issuance of up to an estimated principal amount of $90 million of taxable health system revenue bonds of the county. It's anticipated the proceeds will be used to acquire approximately 24 parcels of ground, and improvements thereon are generally known as the St. Francis Hospital and Medical Center. It also will provide for future improvements to the facilities. Before you can adopt this resolution or consider it, you'll need to conduct a public hearing. John Peterson with the Posanelli Law Firm is here. There's a representative from each of the joint venture participants, I understand, are here from the University of Kansas as well as from Ardent Health. If there's questions or comments, those gentlemen are to answer them.
Questions for Mr. Perry or anyone? Yes, Commissioner Cook.
If we might hear from I'd maybe start with Mr. Peterson, just to talk about the bonds. And just a comment that it appears that there's been much more scrutiny over the recent years of industrial revenues bonds, the use of industrial revenue bonds. Why would counties engage in them? What is the benefit to the community? Why would we consider, not having properties on a tax roll? And if maybe you can enlighten us.
I will do my best, Commissioner. For the record, Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission, John Peterson with the Postinelli Law Firm, having the pleasure and privilege today to appear on behalf of Topeka Health Systems, LLC. As bond counsel has indicated, that entity reflects a joint venture effort to purchase and hopefully revitalize the St. Francis Hospital System, a mainstay and iconic institution in the city of Topeka and the county of Shawnee for many, many years. Ardent Health Systems and the University of Kansas Health System are the two proposed joint venture partners. They're represented here today by Clint Adams, who is the Chief Financial Officer of Ardent Health, as well as Bill Marting, Senior Vice President and Chief Financial Officer of the University of Kansas Health System. You'll note the titles of Chief Financial Officers, because what we are talking about today is an effort, a critical component of the process of acquiring and, again, revitalizing the St. Francis system, and it comes down to having that financial basis to do it. You have two very experienced institutions here that are ready to move forward, commit considerable capital to make this a successful endeavor, estimated upwards of $50 million in fairly short order. Responding to the question posed by Commissioner Cook, why are we here with this resolution of intent, which in essence would issue IRBs, which is really, as the Commission knows, is a vehicle to provide for a period of time tax abatement to a portion of the real estate that would be owned by the joint venture. In this case, what this does is actually put the new joint venture in the exact same position as St. Francis for a period of time. And to digress and explain that, St. Francis and its system today does not pay property taxes on a portion of the property that they own today, and they do pay taxes on a portion of the real estate that they own today. What we're asking today is let this for-profit entity, because that's what it is when the JV comes together, move into that exact same position for a period of time. Continue to pay the property taxes on an ongoing basis that are being paid today so that your citizens will have the benefits of those tax revenues for all the good things that those taxes are there to address. But at the same time, not by the flick of a switch of a change of ownership, increase the operating costs of the hospital, putting this new lug of taxes on it. The goal, of course, is if you give these two gentlemen and their institutions the opportunity to bring this back to a viable institution, we will be paying taxes for decades and decades and decades to come, well in excess of the taxes that are being paid today under its current ownership. That's the reason we're here. That's the bond structure. I've had the pleasure of working with your bond counsel and your county counselor. That's another way of saying I've done exactly what they told me to do. We have put together the documents. The documents reflect the approach that I took a shot at trying to explain. It's a critical part of moving this project forward. And if I may, with your permission, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I thought it might be good to not just hear from a lawyer today, but to hear from one of the principals of the JV that'll reiterate and maybe embellish the vision of what these two institutions have for this great institution in the city of Topeka. So with that, and again with your permission, I'd ask Bill Marting to come to the podium for just a few minutes of commentary on the project.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Commissioners, for your time today. I think John did a pretty good job outlining it. I wanted to make a couple other comments. The healthcare has been a bit unstable in this community lately. We were on the verge of shutdown. I really wanted to acknowledge the physicians of St. Francis, the employees of St. Francis, and the community that got behind the effort. And to put it real succinctly, what this does is save significant jobs. 1,600 jobs approximately at risk, economic impact studies of about $439 million. It is not going to be easy. I'm with the University of Kansas Health System. I've been there since 1993, and so I've gone through a turnaround effort at that, and so our organization is familiar with turnaround efforts. This indeed is a turnaround effort. We also looked very hard to find a good partner, and we found a good partner in Ardent. Us two together are greater than either one of us independently. Ardent is a very good turnaround firm as well, and they're committed to the same things that we value, and that's access to quality patient care, not changing the charity care policy. There is a misnomer around for-profit sometimes. These guys do exactly what we do, but they pay taxes. This is such a turnaround that we really need this. We need this 10-year gateway to where we can make a turn. You guys have read the losses that the St. Francis facility has been incurring. Those are ramping up, and again, we need some time. We are committed to keeping the healthcare local here. University of Kansas health system is going to be a key part of this. It is not the desire in any way to take patients out of this market and bring them to Kansas City. We want the healthcare to be here. We want to be a part of this. We are committed to do this, and we just ask for your consideration in this ask. Thank you.
With that, Mr. Chairman, really ends our presentation. Be happy to answer any other questions that you or any of the other commissioners may have. With that, we'd ask for your support.
Commissioner Cook.
I don't know if we know an exact number, but my observation is of our 1,600 employees at St. Francis Hospital and its facilities, many of them live within Shawnee County. And so this is an investment back into our community where we're going to see that return of investment in those dollars. And is that what you've observed as coming in as this joint venture?
I think, and we could get into the statistics, but I'm looking over and seeing an acknowledgement that the demographics and in terms of where our employees of this institution live, that is an accurate statement. And I think utilizing the term investment is very apropos for this situation. You are allowing us to, again, stay in the same position as St. Francis and not immediately pay new property taxes on a portion of the properties. And that is an investment that I am convinced, and again, with the talent that is here today for this turnaround, will reap a return on that investment in years to come and generations to come for Topeka and Shawnee County.
I think, excuse me, Bob, I think the record needs to be clear that under the ARB statute, the facility will be paying rent and revenue in sufficient amount to pay the principal and interest on the bonds. And by statute, the county is prohibited from paying those bonds from any manner of taxation.
Yep.
So this is a pure conduit financing. And I think it also needs to be clear that any ad valorem exemption granted will come from the Board of Tax Appeals. Once the bonds are issued, they will make an application to the Board of Tax Appeals. It's the board that issues the exemption order. It's the board that determines whether it complies or not. All we're doing is agreeing not to object.
Thank you. To me, it's real simple. We have to keep St. Francis open and viable. So I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution.
Do we have anyone else in the audience who
Is
wants
there-
to make any, I'm sorry.
No, thank you.
I just
Commissioner.
wanted to check.
Anyone
Sure.
else that wants to comment?
Just real brief, Molly Howie, Senior Vice President for Economic Development with Go Topeka, and we've been working with the folks at Polsinelli and KU in this process and just want to be supportive, and so we just want to voice our support for this process.
Very good. Thank you,
Thank you.
Molly. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Commissioner Bueller.
So I will second,
Okay.
yes.
Anything else, Commissioner Cook?
No, I think, as you said, it's a no-brainer. It's an investment back into our community. This is really, we look at why properties are given industrial revenue bonds, and this is one that is not hard to, 1,600 jobs, community, healthcare. It's vital to our community, vital to the success of healthcare, and our citizens are directly returned on that investment by having those jobs here in the community.
Before you vote, there's a technicality that we need to do, and that is we have to move to open a public hearing, then we have to move to close the public hearing.
Well, now you tell us.
Sorry. Sorry, Bob. That falls
We don't
on
want to
me.
go down that road.
That
again.
definitely falls on me.
Okay. I'll make a motion.
So moved.
All right. Motion.
Second.
Motion moved to open a public hearing by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0. Now, would anyone else like to discuss this as Mr. Perry turns red?
Well, because this was noticed, it was...
Yes.
We've given mailing, the mails went out last week, the publication occurred last Tuesday.
Thank you. Then I'll amend my motion to close the public hearing and adopt the resolution, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
all for being here.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your investment in our community.
Thank you
Next
for being
item,
this
please.
morning.
Item C, Court Administration, number 1, consider approval of request to solicit quotes for modification to courtrooms in Divisions 2, 13, 14, and 15 for ADA access.
Good morning, Charles Hydovitz, District Court. As we indicated during our budget hearing, part of our ongoing cyclical maintenance is to address certain issues within the courtroom. We intend to demolish the elevated ramps and address the jury boxes so that they become level to the floor and have ADA access. So those are the 4 courtrooms that we wish to address in the coming year, 18 and 19. And so we want to get the actual bid so that you have a better idea of what that funding is going to cost.
Very good.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item C2, consider approval of request to reject a previous bid and purchase a new vehicle for court services under a state contract from the fiscal year 2017 budget.
Good morning, Charles Hydovitz, District Court. On July 6th, we came before you asking for your approval to purchase a new vehicle for the Court Services Office out of our fiscal year of 2017 funds due to the poor nature of it. We went out to bid. We only got one bid back, which really the vehicle did not suit our purposes. That vehicle was $32,987. We made a few phone calls and asked around for the vehicle we thought best suited our needs, and we got a state contract pricing of $27,677.50, which is a savings of $5309.50. So we would like your permission to deviate from the established policy and purchase the vehicle which best suits our needs and is most financially sound for, and we're just being good stewards of the public dollar.
Thank you. I'll move to approve.
Second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item C3, consider authorization and execution of contract C257-2017 with Eagle Technologies for upgrade of the court's data backup system at an increased cost of $5,765.61 from the 2017 budget.
Charles Hydovitz, District Court. I brought this to your attention in June. And unfortunately, Ms. Teal, who's our technology director, actually made a mistake in the information. Instead of a decrease by $3,500, it's going to be a total increase of $3,500 for this same system. She misread the documentation. It's a simple error. We're still planning on covering it by our fiscal year funds, so we're going to cover it nonetheless, but we wanted to make that correction in the public record.
Thank you. Questions for Chuck on this issue?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Cook and seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item C4, consider authorization and execution of contract C258-2017 with SHI for annual maintenance of the operating systems of the web server, document management, development, and data storage systems at a yearly cost of $2,831 from the 2017 budget.
Good morning, Charles Hydovitz, District Court. This is an application to renew the court support agreement used to maintain the operating systems of our web server, document management, development, and data storage systems. This is going to be a one-time fee of $28.31, and again, this is budgeted from our annual fiscal year 2017 budget.
I'll move to approve the contract.
I'll second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Excuse me. Motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item C5, consider authorization and execution of contract C259-2017 with KnowBe4 Inc. for security awareness training and tests at a cost of $2,520 from the 2017 budget.
Good morning, Charles Hydovitz, District Court. This is an invoice for ongoing training and testing services for our staff, et cetera, to make them aware of all of the inherent dangers that lie out there in the technology world. We just had another round of spam training, and most everybody passed it. So again, it's an ongoing education for all of our staff to make sure that we don't leave ourselves vulnerable. So that's going to be a cost of $25.20, and that too will come from our annual budget.
I'll move approval.
Commissioner Cook.
I'll second, but are these trainings that we are not able to provide through the IT personnel that we have with the court or the IT personnel that we have with the county?
It's specialized training, I don't believe, and I don't know if Mr. Oblander is here and whether he can speak to that as well, but it's some training that we think is very, very necessary to the court in and of itself.
Good question. I would...
Mr. Oblander's?
This program is it is, as Mr. Hydovitz indicated, a specialized training program. It's a company that provides information to staff and then provides testing for the staff over specific scenarios over a period of time. And without providing too much information, because we don't want to let everybody know exactly what they're in for when they come in. But I am interested in seeing the results of this as the courts go through this training to see if it's really as effective as advertised, and if we're getting our money's worth. I would be interested in setting up something similar for the rest of Shawnee County as well through our IT department. And as to your question, I do not believe that we have the time and the resources to provide exactly the same sort of training that this would provide. So I do think that this is a viable, a useful tool, and I am interested in seeing the results of it. So that would be my input on the subject.
And just a note, Commissioner.
Yes, Commissioner.
Just where we have in-house training or expertise, I think that we should utilize it. And then where there are things that are not time effective or it's outside of what our scope of expertise may be, we utilize those as well. And just making sure that that's clear for the public.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
And there was a second.
Yes. Okay. Motion made to approve by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
All right. Next item, please.
Item D, Public Works, number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C-260-2017 with Finney and Turnip Seed Transportation and Civil Engineering LLC. Amendment 7 to C-272-2005 for the 2016 biennial bridge inventory and appraisal for rural secondary and off-system bridges for a lump sum of $62,750 and ongoing inspections and appraisal service not to exceed $10,000 with funding from the Public Works Special Bridge Fund account.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Block with Public Works and Solid Waste. This is a Public Works item. As mentioned in the memo, we are wanting to continue our contract with Finney and Turnip Seed to provide the biannual bridge inspections for us. This is a requirement that we have of our departments to inspect our bridges every 2 years. There are some that require more often, and you may have noticed, I will make you aware that this contract, for this update is actually about $25,000 less than what we've done in previous years, and a large part of that is we have the on-call services with Finney and Turnip Seed, and a lot of that work went to additional work that needed to go out and look at the Willard Bridge. So now that the Willard Bridge is nearing completion, any on-call work for anything else throughout the county should be greatly reduced. Finney and Turnip Seed does an excellent job with this. They're one of the premier bridge consultants in the region, in my opinion, and so our recommendation that this contract be approved.
I'll move approval, but also noting, under the scope of services, it notes that this is going to be for 77 rural, secondary, and 178 off-system bridges. So, I mean, when you start to do the math,
Yeah, we have 200 and whatever that number, 256 bridges, I believe, that get reviewed on a biannual basis.
And No, thanks for bringing that up, Commissioner.
So that was a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item D2, consider authorization and execution of contract C-261-2017 with Finney and Turnip Seed Transportation and Civil Engineering LLC for project plan development and right-of-way documents necessary to improve Southeast 45th Street between Southeast California Avenue and Southeast Croco Road at a cost of $292,000 with funding from the State of Kansas Federal Fund Exchange Program.
Commissioners, Tom Block again with Public Works and Solid Waste. This too is a Public Works item. And it was about 2 months ago, we went out for a request for proposals to select a consultant for design services for this project, which, as stated, would go basically finish the corridor, the Southeast 45th corridor, and this portion is from California out to where the Croco Road, between the two roundabouts, 45th and at Croco Road. The Professional Selection Committee, Services Selection Committee, unanimously selected, or is recommending that the award of the contract go to Finney and Turnip Seed. There is a large bridge over Deer Creek on the 45th Street, which had a major impact on the decision. And Finney and Turnip Seed has done very good work for us in the past. So does our recommendation that this contract be awarded and they can begin design. Now, as far as a timeline of this project, we're trying to balance it with some other work we're doing on 29th Street. So there's a little bit, whatever we end up doing there may have some impacts on when this will be done. But if I were to say now, we're probably about 5 years out from any construction on this project. But this will give us time to get preliminary work done, give us time to get any utilities relocated, right-of-way purchased well in advance of the construction. So there'll be hopefully no delays when that time comes. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Just quickly, Tom, for the public, who are the members of the Technical Selection Committee again?
Is the Public Works Director, IT Director, Facilities Director, and County Counselor, I believe, and then typically the project manager of the department who's going to be doing the project often sits in on it also.
Okay, very good. I'll make a motion to approve the contract then.
Second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item D3, consider approval of request to award the bid for the purchase of glass beads for retro-reflective enhancement of roadway paint striping to Potter's Industry in an amount of $12,672 from the 2017 Public Works Road Maintenance Fund.
Commissioners, Tom Block, once again, Public Works, Solid Waste. This too is a Public Works item. We went out for bids for these glass beads, and what these glass beads are used for is when we go and stripe our roadways, we drop small glass beads onto the paint that sticks to the paint so that it reflects and the paint will show up in nighttime hours. If you didn't have these glass beads, the painting or the striping is very difficult to see. It just doesn't reflect back on your headlights. As I mentioned, we went out for bids. We received 4 bids. The lowest bid came in from Potter's Industry at $0.288 or 28.8 cents per pound for a total price of $12,672. We have used their product in the past, and it's a quality product, so we'd recommend approval.
Questions?
No questions. I'll move approval and award the bid to Potter's Industries.
Second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item D4, consider authorization and execution of contract C-262-2017 with Shawnee County Consolidated Rural Water District Number 4 for relocation of its facilities for a culvert replacement project on Northwest Dundu Lane over the Breakneck Bridge of Half Day Creek, located 4.4 miles south of Northwest 43rd Street, at a cost of $25,600 from the Special Bridge Fund.
Commissioners, Tom Block, once again, Public Works and Solid Waste. This too is a Public Works item. We are in the process of having design work done for a large culvert replacement project at this location. There is a large rural water line that is going to be impacted by the construction. Therefore, we need to have that water line relocated. The rural water districts typically have their own easements, and when that is the case, then we have to pay for the relocation. So we've been in discussions with the rural water district. They've given us an estimate of what they believe it's going to take to relocate that facility. This is commonplace on these types of projects when we have rural water lines to be moved. So this is the standard contract we've used in the past, and we would recommend that this also be approved. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
I'll move to approve the contract.
Second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
Right,
Thank you,
you.
Tom. Next item, please.
Item E, Parks and Recreation, number 1, consider approval of project budgets for the following. A, disc golf improvements at Crestview in an amount of $12,000 from the Building Maintenance Fund and $500 from the operating budget. B, Phase 2 and 3 for the Lake Shawnee Arboretum Trail with $55,750 from the Building Maintenance Fund and $2,000 from the foundation. And C, purchase of stacking chairs and chair carts with funding of $8,742.86 from the Building Maintenance Fund.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Knight, Parks and Recreation. You'll notice that a couple of the items on there don't technically need to come before the County Commissioners, but I do want to let you know the process that we're going through to spend some of these funds. We have an in-house process. It's called the Individual Management Plan Committee. A person from each one of our divisions reviews these to make sure that these projects align with the priorities of the County Commission and also the priorities of the master plan. Item A, if you'll recall, a few weeks ago we had a contract with the Dawn to Dusk Disc Golf Club, and they're a private group, and they're going to help with fundraising and buying new baskets. In fact, I think there are many new baskets in the Crestview Park already. So good partnership there. The interesting fact on B is we got a price that we thought was so good, and as long as that contractor honored that price, and we were happy with his work on Phase 1, that we go ahead and do Phase 2 and 3 now. It was about 50% of what we'd anticipated the concrete work coming in at. Be happy to answer any other questions, and if I can't answer your question, I do have several staff here that could.
Questions regarding this item for Mr. Knight?
Do not have any.
I'll move approval.
A second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Cook, and that was seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item E2, consider authorization and execution of contract C263-2017 with Americrete. Change order to contract C162-2017 to provide an additional cart path renovation, number 7, number 8, number 9 at Cypress Ridge Golf Course for an additional cost of $13,899 from the Building Maintenance Fund.
Commissioners, with me today is Kerry Golden, the Director of Golf, and also Brian Toby, who chairs the Individual Management Plan Committee. He has some pictures. Brian, would you want to hand those pictures out? Basically what this is if you'll recall, the golfers agreed to an additional fee going forward to install cart paths on the back 9 at Cypress Ridge Golf Course. Kerry has worked real close with our project consultant, CE Golf Design, and they value engineered and saved about, was the number $50-some thousand, $43,000. And again, this was one that the concrete prices came in so much lower. While they're there, we thought we'd also take advantage of the
the additional cost. Should we have them come back, there would be a mobilization cost that they would charge as well, too. Basically, this would be a net change order, taking the value engineering savings that we had off of the back 9 and add $13,000 to the project. While they're there, we could get that 6, 7, and 8 area around the tee boxes down there done too. And I know I've had at least one commissioner on a tour with me and drove her through that area. Yeah, I won't point out which one of the three of you that is. But I've also, and I know Commissioner Archer's been out there golfing too, and I'm sure Commissioner Cook's well aware of the area down there too. It is in dire need of repair, and we can get this done relatively inexpensively. I recommend we do that while they're on site. Be happy to answer any other questions. And to remind you that this isn't taxpayer funds. This is the golfers have agreed to up their increase on the fees at Cypress Ridge that would go directly to repaying this. And also there are some other discussions going on currently right now, because another potential benefactor of these cart paths going in is our independent contractor who will be also benefiting from the Cypress Ridge cart paths going in, and we're negotiating with him. He's already started a fund within the foundation to help maintain the stuff going forward, but there's additional discussions going on right now about ways he can help financially to repay this project as well too. Be happy to answer any questions you may have.
I don't have any questions, but this needs to be done. It will make it into a first-class course. It will add revenue, playability, tournaments. It will bring back people to Cypress Ridge. So I'll make a motion to approve.
Go ahead.
Commissioner Cook.
But just a couple of questions.
Absolutely.
When you say that it's not taxpayer dollars, that's not exactly 100%.
It's public funds, correct.
We are using taxpayer dollars that are then repaid back by the users. So we are tying up taxpayer dollars with it. In a way, it's a loan from ourselves to ourselves. It's paid back by the users.
The building maintenance fund is populated with funds from the federal government that go directly to this fund, and user fees, because we've added an additional $1 to every one of the registrations of our programs that go in. So it's not part of the general fund. I think we're saying the same thing.
But I just want to make sure that it's clear that, it's a loan that's repaid by the users.
It's a loan repaid by the users of funds that are accumulated with non-property tax funds.
And then I know that a concern that is often put forth is that golf is being subsidized at the expense of other community centers or other areas of the county. And again, this is being paid back by the users.
It is, and there are two of our golf courses, Lake Shawnee and Cypress Ridge, working with Ms. Greiner. A tremendous opportunity was set up so where we can also take care of and you can see that in this proposal here, of the ingenuity, the competitiveness of our staff. We developed a revolving fund. No taxpayer dollars are going into the play of golf at Lake Shawnee Golf Course or Cypress Ridge Golf Course.
And the reason why we're approving this, we're considering approval now, is our contractor's already on site, they're already there and mobilized, and we're not going to have to, it would cost us more to come back at a later time and do holes 7, 8, and 9.
Very much more, yes.
And so this is a taxpayer savings in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure we're clear that we're saving taxpayer dollars by doing it now rather than later.
The only thing I have to add is after church on Sunday, I had a constituent walk up to me and said, "Great job, good job on the cart pass, but we need to finish the rest of it and the change orders." So I think, like you said, it'll make it a really nice course. So.
And before you vote, I will say that even before we've actually formally accepted the process, recently we had a 2-inch rain overnight, which normally would have closed Cypress Ridge Golf Course, and I can't prove all of this, but the feelings out there now before we started this project was, hey, if it rains at Cypress Ridge, we can only play 9 holes. We opened that cart path, we let people get on there, stay on those cart paths, so hopefully word begins to spread that you don't have to find another golf course every time it rains a little bit. So hopefully the good news spreads as fast as the bad news.
Never does. That doesn't really happen.
Well, with all this discussion and excitement, I forgot exactly, did I make the motion?
There's no second.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion made to approve by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item E3 has been pulled. E4, consider approval of request to award the bid for the purchase of grass seed to Helena Chemical Company at a cost of $44,564.75, with funding of $23,252 from the Parks and Recreation operating budget and the balance funded from the Revenue Revolving Fund.
As you just mentioned, Commissioner Cook, part of the reason when I talked about the Revenue Revolving Fund, the grass seed that will be used at those 2 golf courses will be paid for out of the revolving fund. The parks will be paid for out of our operating budget. Kerry Golden is here. He compiled the bid specifications and reviewed those specifications and his recommendations in front of you this morning.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item E5, consider out-of-state travel for an additional employee to attend the National Recreation and Park Association Annual Conference at a cost not to exceed $2,700, with funding from the operating budget.
Commissioners, I was before you recently and asked for one person to go. I told you at that time that we were trying to get other staff to be able to attend that. They were reviewing the family circumstances and other things. One has reviewed that and wishes to go along on that training opportunity as well. Be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions?
I'll move approval.
Second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Next item, please.
Item F1 has been pulled. Item G, Administrative Services, number 1, discussion of the 2018 budget.
Good morning, Commissioners. Betty Greiner, Director of Administrative Services. I am here for our first budget discussion for the 2018 budget. I will start by giving a little overview, mainly for the public. I'll start out with our timeline. Our departments and agencies that are asking for money submitted budget requests May 15th. Those were reviewed by Audit Finance and then went to the Commissioners for your review on June 1st. We had public hearings with each of the departments as well as with any of the agencies asking for funds, July 5th through the 20th. We had a public hearing where all the public was invited on August the 3rd here at the courthouse at 5:30 in the evening. You will now start making decisions on specific departments and organizations at your regularly scheduled public meetings, and then the budget must be approved by August 25th. And as I went through all of this, you can see that all of the budget discussions and the hearings were all made in public meetings for complete transparency. All of these meetings and discussions were streamed live. They were also recorded and are on our website that any of the public can go back and view any of them. Going on to our budget process, the budget looks at the amount that we will need to levy in taxes. That is determined by the assessed valuation. A mill levy times the assessed value divided by 1,000 equals the tax levied. So for 2018, we look at the estimated valuation as of July 1, and then the actual valuation will come in on November 1. This year, our estimated valuation was up $28,078,040, which is 1.76%. The real estate values were up a little higher than that, but our state assessed utilities were down this year, so that's why our net is an increase of 1.76%. When we look at our budget for 2018, we have to look at, first, we have to look at the additional costs that we will have for 2018. The primary ones are our salary increases. Our wage increases based on the CBIZ study will be $1,960,841. We also have an increase in our health insurance of 8%. That is $514,065, and that is a lot of money for an increase, but 8% is a very reasonable, in fact, you could even say it's a very small increase compared to a lot of the other organizations and the increases that they are looking at in their health insurance for this year. So when you look at those two items combined, we have $2.474 million that we have in increases to our 2018 budget before we look at anything else. So what I have done is I have come up with what I am calling our 2018 starting budget. What that is I have started with the 2017 final budget for each department. Now that includes all of the wage increases for 2017. So I've started with that number. I've added the wage increases for 18 that have already been scheduled for CBIZ. And then I've added the additional health insurance that each department will have. And then I've also looked at what one-time expenses were given to departments in 2017 and have reduced those if it was a one-time expense so that that doesn't carry forward. And that is what I am looking at as our 2018 starting budget. Now, there is an exception on this. I said that all of the departments, I started in the 2017 budget. On the elections budget, I've started with the 2016 budget because they are on more of a two-year cycle. Every second year there's a larger election. So their starting budget is based on their 2016 budget. So there are also, the reason I'm calling it the starting budget rather than a flat budget, because there's other areas that went down. Grace Med, our health clinic, that is by contract with them, and that is decreasing each year. The Expo Center will be under new management, so that went down for 2018 based on their pro forma of what they will need to operate the Expo Center. The Expo Center management agreement included the grounds maintenance for the Expo Center, and that has currently been in the Parks and Rec budget. So we've taken that out of the Parks and Rec budget for their starting budget because they will not have that expense. We will, start by, you will make decisions based on each department and organization. We will estimate a mill levy based on our estimated information, our estimated assessed value, which I mentioned, and then we'll determine how much of a budget you want to levy. And why I have all this is so that we can estimate what that mill levy would be. For 2018, we really have two limitations on this. The first one is one of that as this commission has always looked at the mill levy and whether they want to increase that mill levy each year. And that has been a determination that's been in the past couple years not to increase that. The second one is that we look at the tax lid. With the net legislation now, there is a tax lid that increases the the total amount of the budget that's levied by the CPI average change over the prior 5 years. I'm sorry. For 2018, that is 1.4%. There are some exceptions, and one of the exception is an increase in spending in law enforcement. So for 2018, there's a large portion of our compensation increases that are going to law enforcement. So for this year, if we want to stay within the same mill levy that we've had, we will have less money to spend than under the tax lid. So I'll kind of go through what I have here in my chart here, and you can see the first column is the department or agency that's asking for funds. The blue column here, this first one, is the 2016 actual expenses, what was actually spent. The next one is the 2017 budget that was given to each department. The 2018 budget request that each department and organization requested. The next one is the starting budget that I just talked about. This next column will be any adjustments that you make to the starting budget, and then this would be the approved budget that we end up with. These are, the departments are by category. You can see these first ones are administrative services, and then we go down to the departments that are under law enforcement and such. This percentage out to the side here is the percentage for that category of expenses. Then down here I have an amount in green that shows the estimated balance without a mill levy increase. So as I believe it's the desire of the commission not to raise the mill levy, this is the amount that you could increase the budget by and still be within the same mill levy. And there again, estimated mill levy. This green amount over here, the $1,786,000, is how much we would have remaining in the tax lid. But if we did, increased our spending, the total of that tax lid amount, it would increase the mill levy. So, I've also put a little larger number up here just for your use, and hopefully you'll be able to see it a little better, showing how much, and it's the same as this number down here too, just showing how much you would have left to spend and to retain the same mill levy. Yes, we're going to turn off one of these lights because I think it helps you see the screen a little better. So with that, I think we are ready for you to start making decisions.
Commissioner Archer.
Yes, Commissioner Cook.
Just to make sure that I'm clear, the 2018 does add in all of the CBIZ study and the
Yes.
health insurance
Yes.
with those exceptions that you talked about.
Yes, that's
And
correct.
so if we really get down to what we have left the $1,093,500 as discretionary to stay within a mill levy of a zero increase.
Yes, that
Which
is
would
correct.
represent 3.85% of the total $105,145,889.
Yes.
So realistically, out of that $105 million, only 3.85% is actually discretionary. Just a very small, it's a smaller percent.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Well, actually, it's not over 3%, it's less than 1%.
Well,
isn't
wait,
it?
it's got to be more, less than 1%, because yes.
All right, so less than 1%.
Yes, because 1% would be 1,050,000, yeah.
So less than,
so
so it's
about-
a very,
about
very
one-
small amount.
Yes.
Yes.
That's why we have an accountant here.
Well, I think we've said all along through our budget discussions that it's going to be a tight year, given
Yes.
the compensation and the benefits added in. And the first year that we added in as a result of CBIZ was, which year, 17?
16. 16 was the first year.
And then, okay.
Yes.
And then we do have some additional for 19, but it's not as large of an amount.
Well,
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, the implementation was over a 3-year period of time, but the implementation, the increases are as of July 1.
Okay.
So that first year, like in 18, we will only see half of that increase realized in dollars,
Right.
and the second half of that will be realized in the first half of 19. Yes.
Other discussion before we get into? I wanted to sort of set out the timeline and what I want to very tentatively ask as far as going forward basis. And today, I would like to discuss administrative services except for the elections department, debt service, and the special liability fund. On August 14th, I would like to talk about public health and parks and recreation. On August the 17th, elections, law enforcement, and public works. And then on August 21st, final discussion, final changes, and adoption of the budget for 2018. Very tentative if we get to rolling, but I do know there are even after all the budget hearings and the questions and the presentations, there's still some research and some additional information, excuse me, that needs to be gathered. For example, in our Department of Corrections, we need to talk more about horizons and the health care of our inmates. And there are other things that I continue to want to know in making proposals for the budget. So if that very tentatively, that would be the timeline. So, okay?
I think that works. The only thing I might ask is a lot of the social service agencies, I mean, that discussion most likely would take place the 14th then,
Yes.
correct?
Yes, that is correct.
I know
Under
a lot of
public
them
health.
usually want to attend, so,
Yes.
yeah, okay,
That would be on August 14th.
great.
Okay?
That's
Commissioner
fine.
Cook? Okay.
That's agreeable.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioners. Let's get started with the first line under administrative.
The first line is general expenses. We are showing a slight increase in that from 2017, and that is just based on general expenses for the county. There are a couple items that we had discussed in that as far as affecting other budgets. One item was the treasurer's office with the lockbox. We talked about moving that lockbox expense. Right now, the bank charges are split between two departments, and moving that all over to the general expense. That would entail moving $10,000 from the treasurer's budget to general expenses. The other item that I would bring to your attention that we talked about was the grand jury expenses for a court reporter. Rather than using a contract, have an employee under the DA's office. That would be a transfer of money from the general expense budget here to the DA's office in the amount of $34,500, including benefits.
Let's say that amount again, 34,000.
$34,500. So that would be decreasing the general expenses. The $10,000 would be increasing it.
Right.
Okay. Comments?
Well, I would make that motion for both the transfer from the treasurer's office for the lockbox to general expense and for the district attorney for the court reporter to general expense as well.
Second.
Yes.
Both of those are going to general expense, or is that what the motion says?
No, the $10,000 is going to general expense. The $34,500 is coming out of general expense. So,
Yes, corrected.
yes.
It's going to the DA's budget, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Right,
just want to make
okay.
sure that was, okay.
Thank you.
Motion to adjust by $24,500, made by Commissioner Bueller, and I think seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please. Contingencies.
I would move to set the amount, budget amount for $1 million.
I'll second that. Motion made to make no adjustment to the contingency expenditure by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0.
Next, if you want to go down in order, the next one is capital outlay.
Capital outlay. Yeah, we increased this, last year, for this year.
Yes.
And Lord knows we need it. We have a lot of deferred maintenance, a lot of capital items that need to be addressed in our community, and so I think keeping it at $2 million is a good idea. Is that, Commissioner Cook, you?
I will so move.
Okay. Motion made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Archer, not to adjust the capital outlay amount. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Audit Finance.
Would move to make no changes, the $512,195, but that is the amount set for
Okay.
audit finance.
Motion made not to change that amount by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Board of Commissioners.
No change.
Second. Motion made not to change by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Clerk's office. Any discussion there?
There was
Yes.
no increase.
The request is the same as the starting budget.
I had a $2,000 decrease on everything except some, other than the salaries that I have no control over.
I'll move to set the amount at $839,466.
Second.
Motion made not to change by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Facilities Management.
I would move to increase that by $25,000.
Thoughts on that? Refresh our memory about the rationale for increasing the facilities management budget. Betty, if you would.
Well, one of the things he asked for was money to do more on routine maintenance items that had not been done in the past. When we determined his budget back when we started that department, was it 16? We just took what Parks and Rec had been spending on that. And since that time, he has tried to set up some routine maintenance items to try to stay on top of some of the maintenance of the buildings and the equipment. So that was what he was asking more money for.
This is not the full amount of the
No, it's...
the increased amount.
Yeah, it's actually, about half, maybe
Yes.
less than half?
Yes.
I'll second that. Commissioner Cook, do you have any thoughts? Motion made to increase facilities management by $25,000 by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Human Resources.
Motion to adopt the 422,949.
Second.
Motion made to adopt as the starting budget by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. That motion carries 3-0. IT. The change here was essentially about, I'm trying to remember it was about the email.
Yeah, Exchange Online.
Yeah.
Exchange, yes.
Yes.
It's about $86,000 a year, correct, Pat? Or the one-time?
Yeah.
Was 80.
There was a one-time cost of $80,000 or beginning the annual cost of $86,000, if I recall.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is the wave of the future and gives us a tremendous more amount of memory to save and document our emails, which I think is very important. Sure.
Pat Oblander with the Information Technology Department. In the budget hearing this earlier, I did go through a rundown of what Exchange Online would do for the county. Again, keep in mind, this isn't an increase specifically for the IT department. This is an expense that is involving resources that are available to people throughout the county. This is for email services. Currently, we do email on premises with an Exchange server that's managed internally. The proposal here is to add or change over to a hosted version of Exchange Online. That's where Microsoft would manage the mailboxes. The primary benefits of that are that our quotas that we currently are set at about 300 megabytes would increase from 300 megabytes to 100 gigabytes, a very significant increase in the amount of storage that users would be able to accumulate in their mailboxes before they run out. Additionally, this gives us some benefits as far as continuation of operations. There is no single point of failure when you're in the hosted situation. Here, the way we're currently set up, if one server fails, all email could be lost and services could be down for a period of time for the entire county. If a particular building is lost in Shawnee County, if we're on Exchange Online, we would have the ability to move to a different venue or location and have email services from wherever we need it to be set up. And again, as we mentioned, inevitability, this is the direction that these sorts of services are headed. Eventually, you will not be able to buy this on-premises version. Everybody will be using the hosted version at some point in the not-too-distant future. So we're trying to get ahead of the game if at all possible. So you do have another option. You have two other options. You can go with the Exchange Online option, or we could go for another round of on-premises. The Exchange Online is $86,000 a year, every year going forward. The on-premises is a one-time $80,000 charge, but puts us back in the same situation we're in now. Or we could vote to not do any of the above and just put it off until another year and see if we could get by with our existing Exchange on-premises. The difficulty there, or the risk there, is we will be out of support with Microsoft if we go that route. So if we run into some problems, their solution will be just go to Exchange 2016, pay that $80,000 and get up to speed. So we would be kind of flying without a safety net for the period of time that it took to get to the 2019 budget year. Any questions?
Commissioner Cook.
I think the real conundrum from a commissioner standpoint is, for many years we've had this annual renewal cost, and we've kind of gone on from year to year, and in this case, $80,000 for 1 year versus if we embark on the $86,000, it's going to be $86,000 every single year.
Every year going forward.
And
yes.
I would anticipate that, like everything else, it will go up.
I would expect that to be the case, yes.
And so once we start down this, we're committed to this until, the IT department comes up with a better email platform and server, which I'm sure your technical staff can do.
Email's a little above our capabilities to develop at this point,
But it's an $86,000 renewal. It's going to be here every year. And so it's a big...
It's an annual operating expense. That is correct.
And so while there is definite benefits, we have greater protection, greater email capacity. We can stop getting the email notices that we're out of space.
That is correct. And that is not an insignificant problem. We hear that from every user, I think probably from each of the three commissioners as well. The counselor's office is a frequent complainer of that issue. So
as we search for what to delete.
Yes.
But it's going to be, again, a cost that will be incurred every year, and so it's a commitment.
It is. It is a commitment. But I like to think of it in terms of if we were to hire an additional person that would be dedicated to providing better services for email, that would be in about the same range, $60,000 or something like that per year. So it's a hard call, I know, but I think that the amounts of money that we're talking about versus the benefits that we will gain, I think that the $86,000 is a good spend. It's the timing that is the problem. I know that 2018 is a very difficult budget year, and that's why we've got the other two options out on the table. We could do the one more round of on-premises, but we would not get the COOP capabilities. We would not get the increase in quotas. We would basically be treading water for another several years. And at some point, we're going to have to make this step.
Because on-premises is going away.
Yes.
Commissioners, at this point, I would move to increase the IT budget by the amount to the $86,000. So we would have the change in the software. So just reflecting that change.
I would second.
And Commissioner Archer's promised me 2019 is going to be an easy budget year.
Well, you'll be chair.
Never.
So that will make all the difference in the world right there, Commissioner.
I don't know if we go that far.
Motion made to increase by $86,000 for IT by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Treasurer's Office. Yes. Yes. Come up, please. Come up, please.
I was going to say, because we had
Tammy Taft, Deputy Treasurer in the County Treasurer's Office. Did you guys have any questions besides on the lockbox services, taking the $10,000 from our budget?
No.
Okay.
I don't. And putting it in the general fund.
Right.
Okay.
the remaining amount of increase requested. Can you address that? I mean,
As far as the original, the
Yeah, the original,
559,
yeah.
that was bumped up due to the lockbox service increase. Originally, when we had met, our original proposed budget was $539,500.
right.
But then when we had the discussion as far as with the lockbox service, that was possibly going to increase if it was paid out of the treasurer's budget.
Okay.
I'll make it, excuse me, I'll make a motion to adjust by the $10,000 documented.
Well,
Have we
Yes.
already done
We've
that?
already
Yeah.
approved.
I think
Yeah.
we
Already did that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just trying to, I guess, discover what else was in the increase. I have the revised budget in front of me, but
The increase would have been the $29,700 is what we had increased originally from the original budget. We asked for $539,500, and then we increased it to $559,200, and that was due to lockbox increase of $29,700.
okay.
And originally, our original budget only had allotted $10,000 for the lockbox service.
Okay.
Any
So I
other
think we're
questions?
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
So I'll move to set the treasurer's amount at $527,306, and I'm sure we'll hear from the treasurer if that is not correct.
Well, the treasurer will not be back until the 29th,
Okay.
so. But this should be giving him basically what he has requested.
What he has requested, that's what I
Yes,
was trying to get
yes.
at. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I'll second. Motion made to provide $527,306 for the treasurer for 2018. Motion made by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. I think debt service is the next item to discuss.
Debt service is a pretty fixed amount. based on, basically what our debt service will be. The only thing that I will mention is you will see on the COP debt service that is actually going down $1 million from 17. That is because we are using 911 funds to pay for the debt service for the radios that was purchased from the COP. And working with the Sheriff's Department, they are working with us to make sure that we can use as much of that fund as possible to cover as much of this as possible. This will cover the whole payment for those radios debt service for this year. Now, going forward, I don't believe we'll be able to have $1 million each year, but we've tried to kind of plan for this 2018 to get the most benefit in this year as possible. So that's why that has gone down. But other than that, these are pretty much the debt service obligations of the county.
I'll make a motion not to make any changes to the debt service.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Special liability.
This fund, I had a conversation with Jim Crowell on this, and we felt like $100,000 was a reasonable amount for us to levy for this fund. This fund is used for any outside counsel we need, for any settlements that are made in defending the county. Is that correct? Okay.
Very good. I'll make a motion to approve the $100,000 for special liability.
A second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Okay. Again, let me make sure that we inform the public, but our plan is to discuss public health and Parks and Recreation on August 14th, the Elections Office, Law Enforcement, and Public Works on August 17th, and then on August 21st, just 4 days before the deadline, we will have final discussion, make final adjustments, and adopt the budget for 2018 for Shawnee County. So, okay. Next item, please, ma'am.
Item 5, Administrative Communications.
Administrative Communications.
Good morning, Commissioners. Randy Luby with Parks and Recreation. Rachel Meyer wanted me to kind of give you an update on the Sheldon Legacy Lives campaign that we started 2 weeks ago. If you recall, we were able to have a Fund Your Park website through the NRPA, and it's going to be up online for 30 days. We're down to the 15-day mark now, and as of the date, we have raised $8,595. Our goal is to get to $45,000, so we got a ways to go, but I just want to encourage the public to go to that site. It's sheldonslegacylives.com, and I think everybody's familiar with the Sheldon study. We're trying to restore the garden study where Dr. Sheldon composed a lot of his sermons and his books, and we're trying to turn that into a museum that will draw attractions to Old Prairie Town. I encourage you all to go. I do have bookmarks for this, and it gives you the site, and I will just leave them at the with Kim out front. So if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them best I can.
Very good. Thank you, Randy. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Commissioners. Justin Gregory, Kansas Expo Center. I had a great opportunity last weekend to have a semi-surprise event at the Kansas Expo Center. We moved the Boys and Girls Club Harley Party from downtown Topeka due to Mother Nature's forecast into Exhibition Hall. We started the process at Thursday at 4:30, and by Saturday afternoon, we were event ready with Knucklehead Jones performing for the evening. Great fundraiser, great group of people. We were extremely excited to have them in the building, and it did come at 8 o'clock. It did rain its tail off. So this weekend, we welcomed the Cowboy Mounted Shooting state and regional finals to Dome Arena. That is the only event we have on the facility this weekend. And then Thursday, starting August 17th at 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. with a luau theme and having grilled teriyaki chicken with pineapple and music by Jake Stone. Any questions?
Jake Stone?
Mhm.
Thank you very much, Justin.
That sounds like a really healthy option versus what we've had in the past. Sorry.
As opposed, like the hot dogs?
Yeah,
that we
like,
had?
you know, 10
Okay.
or 11 ingredients on top of it.
Those were great. Anyone else for administrative communications this morning? Commissioner Cook.
Nothing today. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Bueller?
Got a couple of things. Commissioners, I know that Silver Lake Township position, for the treasurer position, we've had 2 people submit their names, Kayla Blosser and Michael Christopher. I was wondering if we might invite those 2 individuals to a commission meeting here in the near future and see if we can have some discussion with them and then make a decision.
Very good.
Okay.
That sounds great.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's real good.
And then I was going to ask Tom, I'm starting to get lots of questions, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm going to. But I'm starting to, I saw a post on Facebook yesterday, and they said, I'm never going to take the Willard Bridge for granted, but they're getting anxious to kind of know when the bridge might open.
Well, the plan is, should be open September 9th.
Okay.
That is the plan. They are now in the finishing up the road work. I believe they were supposed to, they've got a good portion of the north leg of the roadway paved with asphalt. They were going to pave it the south side, the majority of the south side the other day. I know they had some issues with the asphalt, actually both asphalt plants.
Yeah, they were laying asphalt yesterday.
So I think, I didn't get a chance to go out there yesterday, but I was hoping they would have gotten out there yesterday when they got the plants back up. So, but with that said, the bridges are still not open to the public.
They are not.
Even though there's asphalt down and leading up to the bridge, they are not open. And there's lots of nails on the new bridge. The old bridge is what it is. But if everything goes into place like we think it should, September 9th is the date that we would be looking
Okay,
at.
that's what date I had, but I wanted to make
So-
sure.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just.
So I guess what is today? Today's the 9th, isn't it?
No, 10th.
10th.
Is today the
Sorry,
10th?
got 'em
Okay.
Well, and this weekend is the Rossville Tall Corn Festival. And for those going out to Rossville, you either need to go on Highway 24 or you need to go through Maple Hill. So, that's all weekend.
It is still hard to believe we're in the final 30 days.
I know.
It is.
Oh, telling me. Yeah.
Now, there still will be some construction work going on, like the removal of the old bridge and just some cleanup. But if all goes as we think it should, the new bridge will be open and the road will be open to public September 9th.
Great. Thank you.
So, you bet.
Thanks.
September the 9th.
Yes.
Ooh, be careful making promises.
Well, that's my contract.
As a politician,
Yeah.
I understand doing
but-
things.
But
Yeah,
by
I didn't ask to come up
contract.
here.
But by the contract, that's 90 days, correct? That's
Yes,
90
yeah, it
days.
is by
So
contract, so.
That's,
And whenever we get asphalt down, a lot more comfortable sticking to a date, but our last progress meeting, the contractor felt pretty confident, so.
and that's a Saturday.
Again,
Yeah.
anything can happen, but like I said, once we get asphalt down, we're a lot more confident it's going to happen.
All right,
So,
thanks.
I was just going to say, this was a productive meeting. We got a lot done today, and I'd just like to say that it's an honor that to serve with these commissioners and their professionalism. Even when we disagree, we respect each other, and that doesn't always happen in the political realm. So, thank you, commissioners. I appreciate it. Next item, please.
Item 6, executive session.
There's not a need, so we're officially adjourned.